Okay, spoiler warning, because there's gonna be spoilers, so don't be mad at me if you play the game and you're like, oh, the fuck, Elle. Yeah, hi. So today I thought I'd talk about a game that I played recently, which is The Wolf Among Us by Telltale Games, which, if you haven't played it, it's by the same company as the Walking Dead games. It's based off of a comic book, I think. I didn't read it. So the game is about this guy named Bigby, who is the sheriff of Fabletown, which is in upstate New York, I think. Somewhere in New York, you know, whatever. So he's based off of the big bad wolf from old kind of fairy tales. You know, in like Red Riding Hood and the Three Little Pigs and stuff. Poor guy, he's in like every terrible story. So he's kind of like the reformed character, like started from the bottom, now he's a sheriff. The story is kind of about him solving this big crime. There's only one episode right now, so we don't actually know that much about what's happening. He is investigating the murders of a bunch of women, like murders and decapitation. But there are other characters that are from Fables that are also in the game, which is really cool to see how they were acclimated into a more modern setting. From my understanding, all the characters that are in the game are also in the comic, and like I said, I haven't actually read the comic, but it's really cool to see how, you know, such a integral part of everybody's memory in real life, like fairy tales, you know, it's like if Disney movies were modern. Snow White works in the government, but she's kind of just like a secretary. Beauty and the Beast are married, and they've been married for like forever. The Woodsman has kind of taken the opposite route as the big bad wolf, kind of become a drunken bum who, you know, became a hero by accident. Also, apparently the Fables have kind of superhuman abilities, like they can't be killed as easily as regular people. Like I think there's a scene where like the woodsman gets like an axe stuck in his head and it's like plunged all the way in. I was like, oh my god! And then of course he's just like, you fucking bitch, like, and you're like, oh, I guess he's fine. Walk it off, you know? And then besides that, there are more obscure characters that I think are really cool. For example, you get this kind of like Fabletown, like Codex kind of thing, where you can look at all the characters, and of course I go through every time I get a new one, like, what's that? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? This is what Mass Effect has done to me. There's this guy in a bar who's like a slimy, wormy greaser. He turns into this freaky big monster, and then you look in the Codex and it says it's Grendel, like from Beowulf, and I was like, what? Oh, that's awesome! I thought that was like really sick. I also like that in this game the choices are not strictly moral choices, which is kind of a big deal, I guess, because if you think about it, Bigby is kind of like a reformed criminal, you know? Reformed bad guy. So it seems like it would be kind of a split between what you decide to do if you want to go with his instinct and being, you know, a shitty guy and just kind of doing whatever he wants, being the bad cop. Or if you want to kind of reform and show that you're not a bad guy and like get it together and always do the right thing and be straight. I always try to play as a good cop, so, you know, there are scenes where you can antagonize people or like try to intimidate them to give you information, and it's like, oof, it's tempting, but I don't know. Or, you know, always just being responsible with people and not, you know, getting violent when you don't have to. I mean, sometimes you have to get your hands dirty, sure, but most of the time, you know, you're trying to surprise people. Show them you're not a bad guy. And there's another thing kind of like The Walking Dead, which is the action scenes. Now, there aren't, you know, as many guns. It's not a zombie thing. You're not shooting people like crazy anymore. But you still get into a lot of fist fights and chases and awesome, cool cop movie stuff. Maybe even a little bit more than Walking Dead. It's really, really fast-paced, like almost unforgivingly so, for me at least. Sometimes it's really unclear what you're supposed to be doing. They'll have like a little button come up the screen, it's like, press this now! But it'll say L2, but I press R2 and it still works, so it's like, wait. But then other times it kind of doesn't. So it's like, well, it doesn't make any sense. If you can kind of get the hang of it, then you know, it's okay, we'll just do it anyway, don't worry, we'll go, going. You kind of stick with them instead of kind of watching them fly away from you and being like, no, I'm lost, stop. But again, it is still really cinematic. It's not like the knife fight in Resident Evil 4, like one wrong move and you, thank God. Another thing they do is even worse than The Walking Dead, they just won't stop hitting you over the head with the hints. There's a lot more emphasis on kind of solving crime and, you know, detective work, interviewing people. It's kind of more like got an LA Noire feel to it, which, you know, The Walking Dead obviously, a little bit of that, but not so much. Oh my god, they are so fucking pushy with the hints sometimes. There's a whole interrogation scene where you're talking to your friend. It's obvious he's hiding something, you know, he's very like, in his terrible accent. He's pushing it away like, no, it's fine, you can leave, nothing's going on. And then, you know, you start slowly going around the house finding all the hints, like L.A. Noire style, like, and, like, seeing things on the ground, a little cursor, look at that. Every time you find a hint, and then the guy vehemently denies that it has anything to do with what you're suspecting, zoom the camera in on it, and you're like, okay. And then when you find another hint that relates to that one or shows why that hint doesn't work, it zooms in on that one, like, remember how the door was busted? Look at the window! And it's like, thank you, I could have figured that out myself. In fact, I did, so stop. I wish they would just not do that. I wish they would give us a little more credit, that we can figure out simple puzzles by ourselves. You can play Limbo, you could do this, man. It's not that hard. Yeah, again, it has the kind of L.A. Noire thing, leaving hints everywhere, and you kind of just have to break the pace walking around trying to find the hints. You're in the mood to go chase owls and shoot people and jump on the back of a car and sing Street Savoir-Faire, but like instead you have to walk around and pick up everything. Character models are something that I want to talk about because they are really, really cool. Really stylized, obviously. Just the way that they don't really go into tropes with it. Like, you know, Snow White obviously has the features of Snow White. She has the red lips and the black hair, and she's, you know, pale. But, you know, she's not lilting. She's not like, oh, thank you, Bigby. We must go save everyone. You know, she's like a real person. She's a priority woman. She has backstory. You know, her husband cheated on her, Prince Charming, after they moved. And it's like, wow, is that what would really happen to a prince? Like, would he really cheat on his wife? And it's like, oh, yes, you don't know anything about history. You don't know anything about magical creatures. In the Fabletown, if you can't look human, you have to use a glamour, and that means that you can change your form. And, you know, some people have to use the glamour, like Bigby is actually a wolf, but then he has the glamour, and he looks like a really sexy man. And Beast, who's, you know, he, like, becomes more beastly when he's angry, but his real form is, like, kind of princely, but he has, like, kind of pointed ears, and it's so cool. You know, Belle is just, like, a beautiful lady, but, you know, she has this weird double life that we don't know what she's doing, where she sneaks off at night, and is like, don't tell my husband, it's not we, I love him, you know, and they have this great relationship, so it's like, it's weird, it's great, like, really, my biggest problem, same with The Walking Dead, I can't stand how at the end of a chapter they give you like your profile. This amount of people saved this character, 46% saved so-and-so, you know, that kind of thing. And it shows you all the choices. And so, you know, let's say that you're trying to have an authentic experience. You start out playing and you're like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, do one run through with the first save file, and then I'll play the second episode and the third when they come out, and then I'll have the whole thing, and it'll be authentic because, you know, they'll keep pulling choices from every episode. You know, I'm sure in like 3 episodes, somebody will be like, remember that thing you did in episode 1? Thanks for that. Or how dare you do that? If you want an authentic experience, you do that. Because that's just what some people like to do. I think a lot of people do. A lot more than, you know, apparently Telltale realizes. It's really hard to keep an authentic playthrough when you get your profile and you see a major, like, spoiler almost that you didn't even know was part of the game. You know, this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, then if you're halfway through the game, you'll know what I'm talking about, so stop. So in, like, the middle of the episode, you get a call from one of the characters you met earlier who's like, oh my god, you need to come to my house right now, you know, somebody's breaking in, and, like, I need your help. The other option is to go to this guy's house, who is related to one of the recent murders. Kind of a suspect. So, you know, you make your choice, you go through with your choice, and you know, you play the game. You play the authentic game. But then, let's say you go to the crazy guy's house, who he's, like, yelling, like, oh my god, I need help, come save me right now. So you go to his house, and you see him, and, you know, you do whatever with him. Sort that out. And then you go to the other guy's house, and he's dead. He's dead. Then you're like, oh shit, okay. But then, at the end of the game, in the profile, it says such and such amount of characters saved this guy. Like the guy that died. What? Oh! Wouldn't you have expected the other guy to die? He's the one that was like in trouble that second. How are you supposed to know? Ugh. And, like, it's not even that he died. That's totally fine. It's fine that he died. That's, you know, that needs to happen in the story. I get it. But don't put it in the profile ending, because then people like me are gonna see it and go, oh my god, I made the wrong choice. Want to go back and play it because they feel like that was the wrong choice. There's a difference between moral choices and something bad happening that you could have avoided if you had done the other thing. Good choice in a game comes from one thing being equally as important as the other thing, you know? So, if you go to the dead guy's house first, he's not dead and you can save him. When you go back to the other guy's house, the guy who called you originally, it's not like he's dead. He's fine. He's just as fine as if you had gone there first. The only thing that happens is he goes, I wish you had come here earlier. You're such a bad friend. Now I feel like a failure for like going back and doing it again. I'm sorry, it's the wrong choice. It's wrong. When you put it in a context like that, it's the wrong choice, and that sucks. You should not make your audience feel like they're making the wrong choice. Okay, so that there was my shin-ding-ding-ding about The Wolf Among Us. I really hope you enjoyed it, kind of, because it was really just me rambling a lot. I'm like turning into Professor Farnsworth. Good news, everyone! We're playing The Wolf Among Us! No, Fry, heavens no. But it's great. I'm looking forward to more episodes for sure. Like every subsequent episode. It's gonna be good. They don't keep doing the thing. They're gonna keep doing it. But whatever. So if you hadn't heard, I have the hardware to do walkthroughs and, you know, let's play segments like my Hotline Miami one that many people messaged me and said, this would be good if you had actual footage. So if you want, I can do that. You know, send me a message or comment. I've never said this before. Like, comment and subscribe if you want. That would be totally cool. I would like that. Yeah, thumbs up.
Thank you for watching. Garrus Vicarian says thank you.
You look so fucking pissed off.
I love you guys.
Oh, yeah.